Are you a thermometer or are you a thermostat? A thermometer is someone who reflects the energy of whatever's going on around them. So if it's chaos out there, you're feeling chaos. If everything's awful, then you're saying, yes, ain't it awful? A thermostat, on the other hand, is someone who actually sets the temperature. So a thermostat is where you go and say, okay, I'm going to say I want it to be 72 degrees, and it doesn't matter what the outer temperature is, I'm going to set it at 72 degrees, and that's what's going to happen. So which are you, a thermometer or a thermostat? I'm MindyAudlin. Welcome to our What If It All Goes Right book club. This week we are on chapter 12 of our book, What If It All Goes Right. It is called The Power of One. This marks the beginning of a new section of the book. We've been through section 1, which is about the power of thought. We've been through section 2, which is about aligning our emotional states. It's about feelings. And now we have turned the corner into this realm of action, taking inspired action. So today for chapter 12, we're going to talk about this idea. Are you a thermostat? Are you a thermometer? And I'm going to share with you 3 important tips for stepping into life as a thermostat. But first, it is time to check in. This is our book club. I love hearing from you each week. And the check-in question this week is really a chance to think about, is there a time recently when you have taken an inspired action, when you have done something that maybe was a little uncomfortable, maybe it was a little unpopular, but you did it because it aligned with your values, it aligned with your vision? Share in the comments below as our check-in today, when have you been the thermostat? By the way, while you're there, remember to like and to subscribe so that you can be in the loop when new videos roll out. So the first time I heard about this concept of being a thermometer or a thermostat was when I was working at a youth camp, and I learned this idea from one of my mentors. His name was John Letelier, and he was sharing this with me as a way of teaching me how to hold a transformational space. But what I didn't know then, that I know now, is that this idea goes back to 1963, actually came from Martin Luther King. He wrote it from a prison cell in Birmingham, Alabama. He was in prison because of a nonviolent protest for ending segregation. And while he was in jail, he saw a commentary from 8 white religious leaders who were pushing back on his choice of actions. In this letter, he talked about the church as an organization, and he shared that back in the day, the church was a thermostat. And the people of the church took actions that aligned with their calling. And because of that, they were able to do incredible things. And he shared in that letter a warning to the church that if they were to simply go along with whatever norms society happened to put in front of them, that they would become increasingly irrelevant into the 20th century. So what does it mean to be a thermostat? What does it mean to step into our highest ideals and to align with them? So I want to share with you 3 tips that actually align with what Martin Luther King wrote about in his letter back in 1963. Tip number 1, if you want to be a thermostat, you have to know, what are you trying to create? So in the What If Up process, we always begin our brainstorms with the question, what do you want? Martin Luther King had that kind of clarity. For him, his thermostat was set on freedom. It was set on equality. It was set on justice. And that is the first step in being a thermostat, is being clear on what's the temperature that I want to set. Once you've done that, now we're ready for step 2. Step 2 is to create that alignment, to be able to be in the experience that is contrast to what we actually want. So we may set the temperature at 72, but it may be 32 below in our reality. And how do we create that vision when the reality is so different? So Martin Luther King actually talked about in this letter the workshops that he would lead his people through that he called self-purification. He said these were workshops that helped people prepare themselves internally for being in the midst of brutality and violence and not lashing back, not stepping into that consciousness, not stepping into the current climate that they were in, but locking in to that vision of justice and equality and freedom and real, true spiritual power. So that's step number 2. And we use the What If Up process as a way to help us create that alignment, because it's not an easy thing to do sometimes. So what if you could have a tool that would help you think things that you've never thought before, that could help you identify the feelings that you're experiencing and reframe them in a way that actually fuels you and gives you passion and purpose and strength as you go towards the vision that you want to create. So that's step number 2, is to create that kind of alignment. And the third tip that I want to share with you for being that thermostat in your life, for whatever it is that you want to create, is to then take inspired action, or as Martin Luther King called it, direct action. And in his case, a nonviolent protest. What are the actions that align with the vision for what you want to create? That's what a thermostat does. It doesn't respond like a thermometer does, up and down, depending on what's happening around you. A thermostat locks it in and says, this is who I am. This is what I believe. And because of that, this is how I show up in the world. This week is all about the power of one. And the challenge is to start with you. Start with yourself. Are you going to be a thermostat this week, or are you going to be a thermometer? And notice those times when maybe the tendency is to be a thermometer, and notice those times when you choose to do something different, when you choose to lock into who you know yourself to be and to take aligned action. We would love to hear from you. What is showing up for you? What are you noticing? What actions are you taking? Post it in our community as part of this week's challenge. If you're not part of our community, I invite you to join us. It's free. You can go to WhatIfUP.org. What if this week you are the thermostat? And what if that makes a world of difference? Thanks for joining. I'll see you next week.